Hey everybody, hope you're having a wonderful start to the week. I've got a very quick update for you today. In fact, this video probably won't be more than 7 to 9 minutes, but really that's just because everything I talk about today I pretty much talked about yesterday, so not much has really changed in the thinking for the next week or so. Still looking at a very damp week ahead with colder than average temperatures, and that's really going to get started on Wednesday for the majority of the country and last pretty much all the way through the end of the work week. Although we will have breaks in between some of those rounds of rain before a more powerful kind of system works its way on through during the weekend. And that's whenever I think we'll really have to watch for the bigger severe weather threat in the east. Although right now, we will have a small severe threat back out west into sections of Texas over the next 48 hours or so. And even over the Florida Peninsula right now a little bit as well. But luckily, nothing off the chart for April standards, so that is good. With all that said, though, let's go ahead and get into that forecast. So we'll start off with radar here, and you can tell we've got a pretty active picture ongoing, and we do have this one area of kind of precipitation down here into Florida. I'm going to zoom in on here real quick, just because some of these storms have become strong today, and they will continue to have the potential to be kind of strong throughout the day. So some of these storms could produce hail, strong winds, and maybe even a quick isolated tornado, and we'll check to see if any of these are warned right now. It doesn't look like it on the national scale, at least at the time I am recording this. But nonetheless, these are still some stronger storms down here in Florida. So if you're in the Florida Peninsula, definitely be careful and just be aware that some of these do have the potential to become strong. A couple other places on the map here we'll zoom into up here into the Midwest. A lot of rain ongoing, as well as some of this even being some wet snow mixing in for sections of the Midwest and Northeast this afternoon. But overall, just really a cloudy, kind of dreary day up into this part of the country. And then same story back out here into the plains where we have some showers moving on through sections of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas this afternoon. And more rain is definitely on the way for this part of the country over the next 48 hours. And that's whenever we will also have a severe weather threat down here into sections of Texas. Now, if you're kind of in between these three blocks of active weather, you've actually had a pretty nice Sunday. So for much of West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, the Carolinas, and Virginia itself, we've had a really nice day. And that's going to be really enjoyable because that is going to change, unfortunately, later this week. I do think we get one more nice day for much of this section of the country going into tomorrow. But as we get into Wednesday, things really look to take a turn downhill in terms of at least how comfortable it's going to be out there. So let's go ahead and bring radar into tomorrow afternoon on Tuesday. And again, I do expect one more nice day kind of in the same area that had a nice day today, but we will still have some showers ongoing over Florida tomorrow, as well as the continuation of rain and snow showers up here into the Midwest and Northeast. But the real big kind of story, I think, tomorrow will be this big area of weather that really begins to develop back out towards the southern plains. And again, this will produce the chance of some stronger storms through Texas and Oklahoma tomorrow, which again, all hazards are possible with that. So we'll definitely have to watch out for that. Now, as we get into Wednesday afternoon here, you'll notice this rain really begins to overtake much of the southern tier of the country. So we'll likely clear out a little bit on Wednesday afternoon here in the Midwest, but then we're going to get much cloudier and a lot more precipitation is going to work its way into the southern tier of the country, really from Texas all the way over to the Carolina coast. And that is going to stick around even into Thursday afternoon. You can see here, and I think Thursday will likely even have some heavier precipitation here into the southeast that we will definitely have to watch out for. And that will really just make things pretty dreary and pretty ugly for much of the day Thursday. I'm not expecting much severe weather with this on Thursday other than maybe the extreme kind of Gulf Coast regions, but really this is just going to be a pretty cold, damp kind of day for much of us on Thursday. And that continues into Friday as well for a lot of us. And this could even be some heavier rain down here into sections of South Carolina, I think, overnight Thursday into Friday afternoon, as some of these heavier precipitation rates begin to work in as this low pressure begins to strengthen as it moves off that Carolina coast. But luckily, I think going into the second half of Thursday, early Saturday, we do get a break here along the eastern seaboard. It'll be kind of close, and it might not be a very long break. It may only be 12 hours, but I think we'll have a little bit of clearing. Even if it's still cloudy out there, we'll at least have less precipitation around overnight Friday into early Saturday, maybe even into Saturday afternoon before that next batch of storms potentially at this point moves on in going into early Sunday. And we'll definitely have to watch the timing on this system, because if this were to slow down at all, and let's say this moves into sections of the Carolinas and Mid-Atlantic during the afternoon Sunday instead of the early morning hours, we could have a pretty big time severe weather threat, I think. So that's one of the big question marks that we're going to have to iron out this week. But right now, at least, the models are hinting at is kind of not, or I guess beginning to pass these areas early on Sunday, and by the time Sunday afternoon comes around, we're really clearing out into the Mid-Atlantic. So we'll have to watch that. Maybe we also get a severe weather threat up here into the Northeast. We'll have to watch that, but either way, it looks to be very wet weekend here in the Northeast. Maybe even kind of some flooding as we get these bands off the Atlantic to really set up with this low pressure system here. We'll definitely have to watch out for that. But the other big story behind this storm system, as it kind of moves on through into early next week, is just kind of this cooler weather behind it. So we're definitely going to watch out for that, and this should be very well below average. I mean, 20 degrees below average for highs would not surprise me at all for much of us. Before going into next week, we look to kind of continue the same pattern we have this week. So it looks to be a pretty chilly, kind of wet next 7 to 10 days or so. Now, looking a little more specifically at the severe weather threat for tomorrow, again, the bullseye here over kind of central Texas, but anywhere from the Texas-Oklahoma panhandle down through the Red River region and all the way to the Houston area could see some severe storms tomorrow, and again, as well into Florida, as we still have some of those storms lingering on into tomorrow. As we bring this into the following day, which is Wednesday, if my calendar does not mistake me, we will have another day of some severe weather possible here, right again over the Dallas-Fort Worth area and kind of surrounding regions, and as well as Florida again, as we're still hanging on to some of those showers and storms into Wednesday afternoon. So the other big story here will be all the rain, and again, you can see most of this being concentrated over the southern tier of the country from Oklahoma all the way over to the Carolina coastline. 1 to 3 inches of rain looks very likely as a whole from really now through Sunday, and again, most of this isn't going to come at once, especially over these regions. Maybe a little bit more over kind of Oklahoma, where we will have some I guess this rain happened over a kind of shorter period of time, but for most of us, this is just going to be a little bit of rain here and there that is eventually going to accumulate up to this 1 to 3 inches. So I don't expect too much of a flash flooding risk, but maybe a small kind of river flooding risk as it just kind of slowly accumulates over a multiple day period, and we'll definitely have to watch out for that here in the southeast. So the other big story here, of course, are those temperatures, and you can see here on the map, this is going all the way into Wednesday afternoon, very well below average temperatures for much of the country east of the Rockies. That continues into Thursday and even Friday afternoon before going into Saturday afternoon. Again, that really continues, but we get this resurgence of this cold air coming down from Canada behind that cold front, and that eventually works in and really locks into place going into early next week. This is now all the way to a week out into next Tuesday, still well below average temperatures, and that looks to be a continued theme for much of the long range before we really see any kind of significant pattern change on the horizon. So that's really the big story, other than the kind of wet weather, is the below average weather, which I would argue might be kind of a good thing if you're a springtime lover, because as we get into May, for much of the southeast, it really kind of begins to feel more like summer. So if anything, this is going to help us kind of hang on to those early April temperatures further into kind of the beginning of May. So if you're a springtime lover, this might actually be a bit of a good thing. And also, we're going to get plenty of water to help out those plants. We'll just have to watch out, though, because some of these nights could get kind of dangerously cold for some of those plants. So we'll definitely take a look at that. And if there's any freeze warnings or frost advisories issued, we will definitely get that information out to you all. But with that said, again, thanks for watching, and I'm sorry if this was a bit of a short video, but there's really just nothing too crazy going on right now, which, again, I think is probably a good thing for most of us. With that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.